SDP, NRC were the only two political parties that existed at that time.
And these were government-established parties?
They were government-established parties. But then, there was some ideological slant, to membership that are drawn to the SDP. They tend to be more progressive in terms of their manifesto, what they canvassed, to members of the public. The NRC tended to be more conservative, in terms of what they canvassed. So, my own understanding of what the country needed was along the lines of progressive ideology.
What is progressivism in this case?
In this case, a political party that makes as a central concern the development, especially educational development of the community. Then the care of the rural community in terms of productivity and in terms of health. Those were the key concerns of SDP at that particular time. And that was why I was more attracted, to. As a matter of fact, it was an awkward choice for me coming from Ogbomoso, because traditionally, Ogbomoshos tend to vote conservative. As a matter of fact, I was the only member of the House of Assembly from the Ogbomoso zone out of the 10 of us that was elected. All the others were NRC.
Can you trace that to the Akintola influence?
Well, that's a very complex phenomenon, but it is not unrelated. It's not unrelated because most of those other constituents and their leaders were of the Akintola, political tradition.
Do we still have the image of Samuel Akintola overwhelmingly present in Ogbomoso land?
That influence can never be eradicated. It will always be there. The only thing that I know is that a lot of progress, a lot of enlightenment had since come into play in terms of political choices that people make. And I do not see the dichotomy between Akintola, Awolowo making any serious impact in the future choices that people make in that political space. No. I think people are already outgrowing, all of those sentiments.
I haven't picked the SDP, Social Democratic Party, as your party. How did you now go about winning the party's ticket? Did you have to grease palms?
Well, the electorate at that time too had no choice. It's either you choose A or you choose B. All right? And the economic demand on candidates was not anything near what we have today. I was just a young lawyer. I have a very young practice. I could not have afforded the kind of money that people invest in political, contest today during that particular time. And nobody made the kind of mindless demand. My form I bought for myself. It was not any political leader that bought form, and that is true of most of us that went to the House of Assembly, whether in NRC or SDP. It was cheap, it was affordable to get your application form. Nobody among the political leaders in both parties were making demands on any one of us, to be able to contest. If you were able to convince the constituents that you are a better candidate, people voted for you.
Can you link that to the influence of the military? Because the military was still in charge.
The military was still in charge. And I do not see a nexus, seriously, between the military being in charge. It was just that at that time, the understanding of people about politics and political participation was not money-driven. It wasn't. If it was money-driven, there were people that had money than many of us that... I had members of the House of Assembly that were bachelors, people that just left university, people that just left colleges of education. If it was money, those people would never have had an opportunity. I remember very well that one of the things that I did when I was Speaker of Oyo State was to encourage many of my members to improve their education. Many of them started their degree programs as sitting members of the House. Those of them that have degrees, some of them started some other programs, MBA, LLB, masters in some arts, philosophy and so on, as sitting. That was how young and how, ordinary membership of the House, was at that time. I wouldn't credit that, to the military. It was just a question of the quality and the choices which people in the House at that particular time were making.
What were the ideals that you were going to achieve as a member of the House of Assembly? What was in your head? Why were you going there?
Well, let me just say that I consider myself particularly lucky because I got into the House of Assembly with a reasonable level of liberal education. And I understood that the only reason why I had that opportunity of contesting, winning, and providing leadership was because despite my poor parenthood, education gave me a platform. And so I encouraged at the level of the House decisions, that are based on the best interests of the society. And I must say that we were not in the pocket of the executive.
Kolapo Ishola was the governor.
Chief Kolapo Ishola was the governor. And in fairness to him, very many times he tolerated our refusal, to go the way of the executive. There have been times when we completely disagreed, with Chief Kolapo Ishola, and he never vilified us. One classical example was when the House of Assembly lost the clerk, one Mr. Folabi. Mr. Folabi died as the clerk of the House. And some people were going to meet Chief Kolapo Ishola. They wanted to be clerk of the House. But members of the House decided that clerk of the House was a staff of the House, not a staff of the executive. We chose Mr. Oyolaki to become the clerk of the House without an input of the executive. Those were monumental decisions, that the House... I don't know how many houses can take those type of decisions today without approval, from the executive arm. And that also affected very many policy programs of the Kolapo Ishola administration. There have been times when we took loan, international loan for water development as a jure, and we insisted that that money must be spent on all the water works in Oyo State and not only on the water works in Ibadan. Of course, we live in Ibadan. We want Ibadan to have the best of facility, but Ibadan is not Oyo State. There are other places, that are Oyo State that need it. If all of us are going to pay the debt, the benefit should also inure in favor of every part of. That was a house that was able to put his feet down.
And the governor did not resist that.
The governor did not. There were always arguments, but there were caucuses where we meet, we argue, and the governor never vilified any one of us.
Kolapo Ishola was SDP.
It was SDP.
And the leadership of the House was SDP.
It was SDP.
Yet you could stamp your feet on the ground.
Absolutely. And he tolerated us.
Did you go to the House with the ambition to be the Speaker?
Well, like I said, the attraction that I had to the House of Assembly was that it was going to be part-time. So the whole idea of becoming speaker was not part of my reckoning at all. In any event, I could not say how many people will be in the house, what political parties they will belong to. It was something which I could not have envisaged. But it turned out that only myself